Welcome, everybody. This is Jason Rosen with US Enzymes with Dr. Kevin Connors to chat about a product that we actually developed together for, we wanted to make something that was more than just a typical gut healing product that covered a lot of bases, but had really, really high quality, well researched ingredients in it that, you know, had to have, or had to not contain glutamine in it. I know that's a big, big deal, especially in the world that you deal with, Dr. Connors. I know you work mostly supporting patients that have had cancer. So why don't I hand it over to you a little bit, and maybe you can give a little bit of a background again on what went into us formulating this guy, and then we'll get into the ingredients one by one and cover some of the different aspects, research, genetics, things like that.
Sure. So, I mean, it's obvious to most people in the that have issues physically that health starts in the gut.
Yes.
Um, Most lay people do any research on any type of health, whether it's fatigue or thyroid issues or early dementia, and everything points back to working on healing the gut first. The struggle with it is that most gut healing products contain a lot of the amino acid L-glutamine,
Yep.
which one of the reason why it does is because L-glutamine strongly stimulates a pathway called mTOR, and that's how it heals. The mTOR pathway is what upregulates healing and growth, which you think, well, that's important. We want to heal the gut and grow new cells and allow the epithelial lining of the gut to be healed, and L-glutamine can be very efficient for that. The problem comes in is if you have any history of cancer in your family, a history of cancer for yourself, you don't want to be upregulating mTOR. So there are other ways to heal tissue without upregulating mTOR. When
Absolutely.
when Jason and you and I were discussing this a number of years ago, it's like there's no products on the market though for this.
Yep.
So, you said, well, let's make one. And I said, okay, let's do
Right.
it. It took a while, right?
Well, making
Because
a quality product is it's no picnic, that's for sure.
Well, it isn't. We went through a company that was completely crazy anal about perfection and ingredients, and there's times that, from a clinical standpoint, I, you know, you get a little upset because it's not happening as quickly as possible. But
Right.
from a personal standpoint, it's the right thing to do because we wanted to come up with a product that was correct, perfect, met our requirements and worked. And you were instrumental in that and overseeing that process, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And for me, even, you know, being a paranoid myself with products, it just was like another, reassurance of like how
Did,
important it is
did you
to
say puranoid? Puranoid, is that what
paranoid.
you said?
Yeah, paranoid. Yeah, total paranoid. Yes, that it is a minefield out there, and any Joe Schmo could just go to any contract manufacturer and just have a product whipped together in like next to no time. But I'm telling you that the odds of that being a clean product are slim to none. So it is a minefield out there with cross contamination and you know assays. So I would say a word to the wise, ask your nutrition company to supply you an assay of your product from the third party. And if they're hesitant to do that, then maybe a word of caution there. So before we
Well,
leave
absolutely. There's
yeah,
contaminants.
the glutamine subject, a couple other things too with glutamine. We know now that it can deplete magnesium, which is in short supply in most people, and it could be potential like a neurotransmitter issue as well. So you and
Well,
I, well,
glutamine
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Glutamine is from the neuro. So let's say you got a doctor listening to this and say, well, I don't treat cancer patients, and so that's not really an issue for me. But if you have anybody with any early Alzheimer's, any emotional issues, any spectrum patients, Asperger's, autism, you have to be very careful with glutamine as well because there's some specific genes that convert glutamine to glutamate,
Right.
which glutamate is a excitatory neurotransmitter. How many people are walking around today with anxiety?
Yep.
So anxiety stems completely from increased glutamates in the brain, and many of them are because of genetic defects that upregulate the conversion of glutamine to glutamate, which leads to all those conditions. So even if you're not treating cancer patients, you still have to be very careful with glutamine because if you add together anxiety patients, any emotional patients, any depression patients, any autism spectrum patients, no matter where they are on the spectrum,
Make it worse.
to any possible cancer patients, you've included now probably 90% of society.
Right.
So using a glutamine product, you could be contributing to ill effects in that person down the road. And you need to be responsible for that.
It's so true. Yeah. I mean, more and more doctors, they really need to take their time and do their studying. I mean, a lot of people just want a all-in-one like protocol or something, and it just doesn't exist. Unfortunately, people are different. Uh,
And they're getting misinformation. So,
yes, that is so true. And for anyone listening, and maybe wow, these guys, especially Dr. Connors, knows a lot about the gut. We did a couple other um, practitioner series called Gut 101 and Gut 102, where we really get into the gut at a much deeper level. So if you want to pop and look at those on our YouTube channels, those would be a great place to start too for learning more about the gut. Okay, so now let's get to the ingredients that are in this guy. And the number one here is the sun fiber. And like you'd mentioned, there are other things that heal the gut. And not only are there other things that heal the gut, this one is like at the top of the list as far as being researched to prove that that can happen. And as far as I know, we're one of few companies that can even have a claim on the label that says digestive repair, and that's due to the research of this wonderful product called Sun Fiber. So maybe Dr. Connors, you can talk a little bit more about the Sun Fiber and how this guy works with butyrate and things like that.
well, it's essential to, I mean, that is your main fuel of the gut is butyric acid, and that's what is formed with the sun fiber. So again, you're feeding the cells so that they can reproduce and heal without upregulating that mTOR pathway. So this is what we chose to be that go between. So it wouldn't stimulate any cancer growth. It wouldn't stimulate any increased glutamates in the brain, but it would be a great source of healing for the gut. And as far as I know, we're probably the only gut product that carries this. There's other fiber products out there, but this is really meant to heal the gut when you combine it synergistically with the other ingredients in this.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not just a typical fiber. It is, it's been hydrolyzed in a way that it's truly modular. So you're like, oh, if I got diarrhea, the last thing I want to do is take fiber. Well, that's actually the opposite here. This is it's like an adaptogenic for your gut. So all types of IBS, this can be recommended, and it is even recommended through medical doctors in Canada for all types of IBS, which it's rare. It's one of the few things that they can actually recommend, and as far as a supplement for people suffering from all types of IBS. So another beautiful thing about it is it's probably the easiest nutritional product in the world to take, Sunfire, because it is completely tasteless, colorless, and odorless. If you can drink a glass of water, you're fine. And some of the other ingredients that we've added to this are very similar in the way that they don't really taste like anything. So you mix this into a smoothie, there's no way the patients can have really any idea that they're taking the supplement.
Right.
All right, so let's move on to the next ingredient. So the sun fiber here, this is for motility and for healing your gut. And then the next player, which is a huge thing in nutrition today, is curcumin, but not only just traditional curcumin. This is a branded form, meaning a consistent, researched, patented form called C3 Reduct, which is just an absolutely fantastic product in that it covers a lot of the concerns with curcumin, being, how am I going to be able to absorb it and how long is the half life. So this is a curcumin that's got a bioavailability 3 to 4 times greater than traditional curcumin, and it has a half life 3 to 4 times longer than traditional curcumins. And it's white, it's water soluble. So anyone that's taken curcumin before, you'll probably have they'll have complaints, or their patients will complain about, oh, it stains, it smells, it tastes bad. Well, this form of curcumin, you don't have any of those concerns. And Dr. Connors, why don't you maybe get a little bit more into the massive benefits of curcumin, and why we
Well,
definitely
we
want to
could
put
talk
this
for
in here.
hours
Right,
about that.
that's true.
Curcumin is a major player for slowing mTOR, for increasing autophagy, for decreasing NF-kappa beta. So it's a great player for cancer patients. It's phenomenal to decrease overall inflammation in the body, which you could argue that inflammation in the body is really at the base of just about every disease process. And
Yes.
the beauty of this product is that the nearly 1 gram per serving is equivalent to 3 to 4 grams of other forms of curcumin that someone else may be taking through
Okay.
another product. So because of the bioavailability of the tetrahydrocannabinoids that are in this, it's equivalent to 3 to 4 times in another product. So, again, it was just sourcing this was difficult, but
Yes.
it was worth the wait and getting this.
Yes. Yep. I totally agree. And like you said, we could just go on and on about curcumin. And like you said, if you're treating cancer patients, you would treat just about any other patient, I would say, in a similar fashion, especially for people working with autoimmunity. The similarities, I would, after talking to you, are they're pretty astounding. And
Yeah.
we should mention that this product, every ingredient in it is neutral to Th1 and to Th2 for any FM doctors, working with a lot of autoimmune type patients.
Yeah.
All right. So the next player is a Q10 that is a bioidentical Q10. So again, very important for being able to be absorbed. So not only huge for cellular energy, but critical for liver function. So I know that was one of the big reasons we wanted this guy to get in here, and it's also huge for gut function as well. When you read books like Brain Maker, um, by Dr. Perlmutter, he'll just talk all day long about butyric acid, prebiotics, and cellular energy. And so that's definitely his influence went into this product as well, from just reading his research and things like that. So maybe Dr. Connors, you can talk a little bit more about some of the reasons we use this, and especially for liver function with people on all these
Well, this is
medications. So,
key for detoxification. I mean, yeah, you could say, okay, if anybody's on a Lipitor type product, then they're already diminishing their CoQ10. But besides that, CoQ10 is so important for helping the cytochrome P450 detox pathway, the PON1 pathway, the NAT pathways. It's just critical, and you see that with toxin burden that we live in, with the environmental toxin burden that we have.
wow,
We
yeah.
need support of those pathways. So an essential nutrient that most people are very beneficial to add.
Yep, completely agree. And again, we sourced this from a highly reputable source, and through obtained through fermentation, which is just a lovely way to get a really clean nutrient. Okay, so the last thing we put in here is we know we wanted to put some type of probiotic into this product, but we wanted to make sure we found something that was really well researched and that we knew was researched for, two of the biggest things that are critical when it comes to probiotics is that they're going to survive the acid of the stomach and that they're going to survive bile and be able to, adhere to the intestinal lining. So, yeah, Dr. Connors, why don't you take it away on our branded
Well,
probiotic?
and and that's the key. I mean, everybody's like, okay, I want to heal the gut, and the first thing that many people go to is we're going to take a probiotic. And many of the probiotics that you'll get over the counter aren't going to even survive the stomach acid, so you're not getting a great benefit from it. But the key to the probiotic that we put in here, like you mentioned, is the survivability across the stomach, but also it's just the synergistic relationship with the other nutrients in here. If you're not healing the gut for it, like I tell patients, the prebiotic and the curcumin and the CoQ10 are giving are basically helping build the apartment building so the probiotic have a place to live when they get there. So easier to understand that way. So in creating this product overall, okay, we know what the gut needs to heal. We got to add that all together so it's together in one product. Not only easier for the patient to take, so they're not taking 5 different things, but they work together. And
Yes.
it's that synergy working together that makes it really more than the sum of its parts. And that's when we put our heads together to come up with this. That was the key. And like I've told you, I literally put, I think, every person on Sunspectrum. It is that important. I take it every day.
Yep.
It's just a product that covers so many bases, and one could argue again that the gut is the source, or at least the key component of just about every disease that exists. So if you're not addressing that constantly, because our environment is addressing it negatively constantly, even if you're
Right.
eating organic and trying to do everything right, you are exposed to GMO foods, whether
Yep.
you are eating them or not.
Yes.
And those are basically antibiotics and destroying your gut constantly, not to mention, everything else that you're
Right.
exposed to.
Yeah. No. Great
So
point.
it's a constant fight. It's a
It,
constant fight.
it is. It's a constant to and fro. Uh, but yeah, no, I just adore this product. I take it. I take a half scoop every morning with my juice, and then in the evening I put a half a scoop in my tea while I'm working. And um, I think that's the way you used to like to use it with your patients a lot, just like as a a fusion drink, or is that the way you usually dose?
Yeah, we usually dose uh, in 2 doses per day.
Yep, that's the way it
So
is.
whatever it is, whether I do a teaspoon in the morning, teaspoon at night, or double that, or whatever we're doing, we do 2 doses a day. So they're just having it constantly there, because everything that you eat is has a half-life. All
Yep.
nutrients are going to have a half-life in your body, so you got to kind of dose it across the day.
Yep, I completely agree with that. And yeah, this is something I give my son, every single day. It's just a huge blessing to keep your children's guts healthy. I mean, they come into this world with, hopefully a somewhat healthy gut. It's a really good way to maintain that, given the things that they're exposed to and the stresses of school, and then who knows what the situation is with the food that they might be almost forced to eat in school. They're definitely going to need some help. Um,
That's right.
yeah, but you mentioned something as well. Like this is like a four-in-one, product working all synergistically together. So, as far as the value for the price of this product, I mean, I just don't think you could get a better value if you went and bought these 4 supplements out on their own and had to take them to get enough to get a therapeutic amount of each, you'd be spending 2 to 3 times the cost of just this single product, which has also been designed to last an entire month.
All right. And just the ease of patients
Yeah,
taking it
no
makes
pills
it
to
simple.
swallow. Yeah.
And yes.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, have people feel free to contact me if they have any questions. I know that you're always open to that as well. I
Yes.
appreciate
Yep.
that.
Yep. Right here to get a hold of either of us. We both have great YouTube channels where we've done videos together, videos separately, and we both just absolutely would say take a look at Connor's Facebook and YouTube page as well as US Enzymes. So for Dr. Connors, Jason Rosen, thank you once again for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.